Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Late Night with Chefs. We have guest chef Amar in the house tonight. How is everyone doing?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night with Chefs. We are glad to have you all tuning in tonight. As Vlad said, guest chef Amar, some of you might remember, are very early followers. We were talking a little bit. I think Chef said we were somewhere around 37 followers when we had you on, Chef.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Luckily,
And
we did something right and we got a couple more now.
oh, yeah, definitely. You guys have blown up, man.
It's definitely been a wild ride, but Chef Amar was actually our first guest chef that we had on the podcast. And I'll just let you give our viewers a little recap, Chef, of where you kind of started and where you're at now, and what you got going on in the world.
Oh, well, how do I start? Oh, well, so my journey has been, uh, well, it started off in Singapore. I've started just a short. Well, I've started in Singapore and got my first ever job at a three-star place called Liz Army, which was at that point one of the top 50 best restaurants in the world. A tough place, a really tough place, but it was something that really built my foundation. So it made me want to explore more than just my country. So then I moved to the US, worked there for about a couple of years, some nice restaurants. That was Australia, working for the Singapore High Commission there for the ambassador, and then New Zealand, and then now in Sweden. So yeah,
Quite a world traveler, Chef.
yeah. I mean, I think as a chef, that's the one great thing that you can do is travel and learn and absorb experiences. And I think that's what I wanted from my life, and that's what I did in my early 20s. Yeah,
It definitely sounds like you did. I know that's something that has always been on my to-do list is to go cook in a different country or work in a different country.
yeah,
Definitely quite a culture experience. It's not like going across the state line. You have a
yeah,
completely different atmosphere.
right. It completely opens you up, like it's like a sensory explosion. I would say that. Um, Imagine being in a country with a language that you do not speak, the people that you have never met, you do not understand the culture. So you're not only learning the cuisine, but you're actually absorbing everything around you. And that kind of makes you extra super alert about yourself and your surrounding, which makes you absorb things at a much faster rate than you would at your home country because you're so much in your comfort zone. So you not only
Right.
learn like skills of cooking, but you also learn life skills. So which is quite important. And that was very important because I was kind of a mama's boy, growing up. So once I left my comfort zone, I knew that I didn't have my home to go back to, and I had to make do with whatever I had. So yeah, it was a cool experience.
So just to kind of touch on that, I'm sure there's a lot of young cooks, and we talked about this a little bit before the show, but I think it's great
Yeah,
to kind of let the young cooks and young chefs know, what's your advice for people who are I want to make that move, but not until I do this one thing, or there's always going to be that one thing that we rely on and it's going to hold us back. What's your advice for those people to kind of jump over that barrier?
right. Um, it is very rare, I would say, to find a mentor that truly believes in you, your skill set, and really wants you to become better than them. Come on, let's face it. Like we are in an industry which is cutthroat. There's competition everywhere. I mean, we have to because it's not based on academic, or it's not based on what you have studied, but it's more based on your experience. And sometimes some chefs grow faster than others. It's just on how they go about learning. And there will be times where you will doubt yourself that, you know what, I'm still not ready. But also remember how far you have come. So if you hadn't taken that first step to move out and to do things that you had never thought you've done before, you would never achieve what you've achieved now. So always think about that and try to, you know, take that big step towards your goals and always keep them in mind, you know. I wouldn't recommend that this is the right time to do those things that you have set out to do
Right. All
for
in due
obvious
time. Right.
reasons. Yes.
Right.
But even now, you could still make plans. You could still talk to people. You can still make connections. None of this costs you money. Making connections, talking to people, see what they want, what are their goals, and if your goals match theirs, then that could be a perfect partner for you to move on further on in the business. And this is a very crucial time to make good connections because everyone is on social media. That's the only place where everyone talks on because of obvious reasons. And I will tell you in a bit like a few good things that has happened in the past few months. Me using my social media to the best of its abilities, or best of my abilities at least, because back maybe about a year ago I used to take it for granted. I never really used it anything but to post pictures of my food, but now I'm using it for much more, and it's actually helped me a lot in the goals that I want to achieve. So yeah.
That's awesome. I like touching on that sort of, using the tools that we have to our advantage, recognizing, when something is, more important or more prevalent than maybe we first thought possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
100%. Kind of going on that subject of social media and like people who it's funny that I tend to find that the closest 15, 20 people you talk to are usually you know haven't gone out and liked your page, haven't gone out and followed you, haven't followed all your social media platforms. You can really, from just one singular person, even let's saying like example of my dad, he doesn't like every single one of my pictures and he doesn't comment on every single one of my pictures. But, in the long run, these numbers kind of accumulate with
Yeah.
compound and you go, the hardest, milestone to reach is 100, then it's
Yeah.
500, then it's 1,000, and then from a
Right, right,
thousand
right.
it's already like 2, 5, 10, and then 20, 30, and then you accumulate because you're kind of it's snowballing, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
there's like this theory, where it's like if you have 100 true fans, right, that
mm,
spend $10,000 with you throughout the year, that's
mm,
$100,000. And if you
right.
like put your time and focus on these 100 people, just 100 people,
Yeah,
and make it worth $10,000 worth throughout the year,
yeah,
then you're already in that 1% of the percentile of people.
exactly.
And
And quality matters too.
there's like this curve, right, where we get
Definitely quality.
super excited about social media and like getting the hype and stuff and that, but then there's really like that learning curve of learning the statistics and using that and learning your demographic and learning what works and what doesn't. And I've snooped around, Chef Amar. You have a mix of things from that you do, and then you've obviously taken it, there's like a transition of like, okay, this is my personal social media where I do fun things to attract my friends engagement and maybe my boss's engagement a little bit, whether it's a little bit
Yeah,
of food, the
yeah,
the music videos grew fond on me. um you know you were having fun, like that's like the fun of the entire journey. And then like as we
right.
scroll up, it's kind of like built the building of that character of like taking it more serious and like
Yeah,
the food, obviously, you could see that evolution in the food
right.
and as you grow personally. And then obviously like you start adding hashtags and geolocation, stuff like that, which advances your potential to be reached by the masses. And then you really take it seriously as a
Mm,
career and as a tool in your career.
Absolutely.
like many chefs have done, and you know people, um, you know, there's quite a few people nowadays that live
Yeah.
off social media
Right.
engagement, you know, and I saw that you were collaborating with Fat Cow with
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
a lot of Wagyu deliciousness, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
awesome to see because
Yeah.
you know I've never heard of this company, but I'm you
Right.
know I'm attached to your profile,
Right.
so you know now I check out this company and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And they're
Right. Right.
obviously
Exactly.
local to you, but they're also doing really cool things, and you can bring that product in and you know tell that story that we're making and creating right now. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was about to get to that actually, and how it has like changed the way it has helped out the local businesses, because it's again, it's not just about advertising something that you believe in, but if you're an ambassador to a certain product, well, I'm not an ambassador in any way or form, but what I mean is like if you really like the product and you really stand by that product and you really show an effort to show how beautiful the product is, there will be people, there'll be 10 people like you, Vlad and Doug, that you would love. Wow, you know what? I would like to try that. I would like to try that. And that not only helps me as a social media content creator, but also the business itself. Because yes, I did get that products for free because I'm doing a trial. I'm helping them build a menu around their product, and I'm getting to eat the delicious product which they have created for me, which I've gotten it. But also in return, I'm giving them maybe more customers to go back to them. So it's just again the whole circle of helping the community out and how you can use your social media and your connections and your experience and let people invest in you and trust you with their brand and their product.
And like I love to say to Doug and a lot of my friends is they need you more than you need them. You got to have that mindset because you are spreading awareness, you're taking that
Yeah,
product in, you're doing the dirty work, you know, you're cooking. You know, to cook that piece of meat, it didn't just you didn't just need that piece of meat. You needed that stove, you needed that gas, you needed that time, you needed, you know, to think about that dish that you're going to do.
the ingredients around it, obviously.
You
Yes.
needed to create that, plate it, shoot it, you know, make sure it looks
Yeah,
nice, edit those
exactly.
pictures. You know, so it's like, you know, how people say like we only see, you know, like the tip of the iceberg, but then they don't see like the massive like workload that it takes to get there. And, you
Exactly.
know, a lot of
Just
people
for an
drop off.
example.
So it's a great time. It's all about creating content nowadays. 2021, you know, definitely 2020 and carrying us into 2021 has been the more content you can create, you know, the more people you can reach. And it doesn't even matter really the quality of the content, but it's all about the quantity because there's so many people that are engaging in this content. So the content runs out. So it almost doesn't matter how good the
Right.
quality is. But obviously, once you start doing it, it's like baby steps, and you improve your gear, and eventually you get there. And you know, there's a lot of people that start off with you know the fanciest. You know, I'm not even saying shun, but I've seen like people walking around with a Nenox, and it's like you really don't need a Nenox really on Garmage. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, but you know, it's all about that, right? It's building the foundation. I think that's what's important, and you have a great foundation, and you know, working for chefs that you know me and Doug will probably only dream of working with, and traveling and working in all these places, and adapting. And I think adapting has been you know 2020, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. Yeah.
carrying it into 2021 because it's still weird, right? Things are
Yep.
still
Yep. Yep.
weird.
Yeah.
Still COVID. Still, you know, we're still wearing masks here. It's
Yeah.
cold. People are not going out. I don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
So, you know, how is it? Where are you right now? You know, what's the climate like? What's the situation? I know we kind of, you know, pre this podcast briefly spoke about it. I'm quite curious to see how things have unraveled.
Right, right. Well, still in Sweden, still very, very cold. Um, I mean, it shows on my phone that it might be -11 by the end of today. So yeah, pretty cold. Yeah, and they have tightened the rules quite a bit now. So all the restaurants have to stop serving alcohol by 8 p.m. So imagine if,
Because COVID spreads after 8, right?
well, yeah. Well, yeah, you can't logically, how to say, reason with that, to be very honest. Well, it is what it is. So 8:30, the guest needs to be thrown out of the restaurants, literally, because obviously a five course takes a little more than 2.5, 3 hours to eat if you do it correctly. But now we are forced to do it within an hour, hour and a half, which is kind of rushed. Well, the guests are quite sympathetic with us because they do understand the situation, and we'd had to ask guests to come about earlier, like, so we probably start dinner at 5 p.m., just so that we can accommodate enough guests and with the spacing that we need to do in the restaurant. So we are still following the COVID guidelines and stuff like that, and to still carry out a normal service, which we think is normal, but it's not because you're rushing it. And to tell the guests that, sorry, you can't have alcohol after 8 p.m. I mean, it's just,
What's that bartender line look like at 7:59?
well, we don't really have a bar.
Okay.
It's more like a fine dining Michelin place. So we serve wines, but obviously, if a guest wants another glass of wine, we have to somehow nicely say no.
Right.
So yeah,
Right. You
and I
you
don't know
can't
whether,
have your Chateau de Debrief, that's gonna
yeah,
cost you, that's gonna, cover half the produce cost of the evening.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know whether you know or not, but in Sweden, you're not allowed to ask guests if they want more wine. So you have to be
Oh,
very subtle. Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of the role. So you're not allowed to make them drink more. You're not allowed to do that. So basically, what you have to do is, sir, ma'am, would you like anything else? So it's kind of exactly, and that's how we go about serving wine. So you can't, and you're not even allowed to put the oh, sorry, like a bottle of wine on the
Yeah.
table. You can't put that on their table. So
Wow.
even if they bought the whole bottle of wine, it has to be in a central station or in the in the kitchen. So
Huh.
you bring out the bottle of wine as and when they need the wine, but you can't keep it in front of them.
Is this
And
something
so,
of recent, or is that
No, no, it's
like
always been like it's always
cultural
been like that.
thing?
It's always been like that. I mean, if you search for Systembolaget, which is like the alcohol service license place in Sweden, it's open from I don't know the timing yet, but like between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or something like that. So you have to line up outside to buy your alcohol because that's the only place you can actually buy your alcohol above 3.5%. So so it's like a government controlled place where
right.
you buy alcohol
But you can
because
still get your like Kettle One, Smirnoff,
yeah, yeah, you can,
Hennessy, and all that.
yeah, yeah, but you have to line up to get that, so you can't just buy it off any damn shop or whatsoever.
So do people
Right.
like bulk purchase their alcohol,
They do,
or
they do. Oh, man, I should have taken a video in Christmas, man. There is a system Bolaget right near my place on Christmas Eve. There was a line for at least 600 meters outside the shop.
wow,
People just queuing up to buy alcohol.
My
that's
goodness.
crazy.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's the difference in like cultural and like you know U.S.
Well, could you imagine in
democracy
the
versus
States there'd be riots? There's no way.
Oh, yeah.
right. I
There's no
mean,
way.
and
People have to
nobody.
wait in line? No.
I mean, I would never imagine, but like is it like, is there a big distance that you travel like from place to place? Is it like 30 to 40 to an hour away, or is everything like, is this shop that everybody lines up like right around the corner, like, like a 7-Eleven in Chicago?
Exactly. No, it's a 7-Eleven. So it's basically every neighborhood has one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's every neighborhood has one, and you just go and buy alcohol there. So it's either you get it from 8 to 4 in the day, or you don't get it at all. Then you have to just drink the shitty 3.5% or lower in concentration of beers. That's about it.
Which,
So yeah,
let's be honest, you're gonna be going to the bathroom more than you're gonna get a buzz.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So if you're gonna have a party, plan ahead.
And so, does all this alcohol, I'm assuming, has some sort of certain label? Is there, penalties if you're caught with a bottle with that's not purchased from these stores?
Actually, it's so controlled that it's impossible to find a bottle that's not in
Oh,
is
okay.
not bought in the store. So
Yeah.
obviously, and you're not allowed to sell a bottle without taxing on it. So basically, there's a 35% tax on alcohol. So for example, if I bought a bottle of alcohol, I have to pay 35%. And once I sell the bottle of alcohol as a business owner, I have to charge 35% on that as well. So it's very
Which the
regulated.
government takes. So they're taking like
Exactly.
they're not only
Exactly.
taking from the sale of the wholesale of alcohol,
Mm.
which you probably are still getting a wholesale price, right? If you're buying.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah.
But
And also, yeah, not only that, but it's also more like they're keeping an eye on the quantity of alcohol that you're selling in your business. So they know exactly how many bottles you have sold to how many you have had and how many percentage of tax you have are paying on the alcohol. So there is no like slipping under the table or whatsoever, nothing of that sort.
it's very interesting.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
a weird, very, very strict regulation compared
yeah,
to
very,
the
very,
States. That's
yeah,
a cool concept. That was definitely a weird trip down alcohol
yeah, yeah,
regulations in
yeah.
Sweden, but
Yeah.
more or less, it it's part of our industry. It's
It is,
something
it is.
that you have to deal with.
Well, and it's like Doug. We recently had with the Trump administration the taxes on wine imports, just because the relationship between America and Italy, and they increased it almost by 200%, and then your six $4 bottle of wine wholesale is now $8 to $10 bottle of wine, and then the consumer is getting the short end of that stick, and we're paying more for a lower quality wine because of the
Yeah,
import tax.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
things will change, as especially when it comes to international business, because there have been so much um, lack of supplies that now when the demand is high and the supply is less, they're gonna milk out as much as they can on really poor quality products because that's the only way that they're gonna make back the money, you know.
Right, they're gonna
yeah.
push
So
their
yeah, exactly. So
lesser
we
So
can expect that.
vintages.
exactly. Besides this, time change for the alcohol serving,
Yeah.
have you seen any other, effects of COVID since we last spoke over the last 6 months?
Yeah, it has spiked up a bit here. I mean,
Okay.
we all do take precautions. I have almost completely stopped traveling by public transport. I got myself this. I don't know whether when last time I met, did we speak about me breaking my hand? We
No, we
probably did.
didn't.
I don't
Oh
think so. No.
yes. So I think right when we spoke just a month or two ago, I broke my hand on my little Segway that I was going off to
The
Goodness.
work.
Segway
Yeah,
scooter or Segway?
the Segway scooter,
The scooter.
the
I
scooter.
used to
Yeah,
I
yeah,
used to rep one,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
back in my downtown working days. They're
Yeah,
fun. They're
they're
fast.
fun. They're fun and fast,
So
man.
how did it happen?
Yeah, so a beautiful summer afternoon in June, just going down, cruising down, going to work. My first wheel went in a pothole, flew over right on the road on my hand. I didn't know I break it. I broke it until I reached the hospital. Because when I removed my hoodie, my hand just went like that. I'm like, oh yeah, so that's what I need. So I got a bit of surgery, got it fixed, but now it's all new again.
Oh, well, that's.
So
I'm so glad that it. I mean, we as chefs, our hands are so vital. I'm.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad that it's healed and it looks great.
It does, it does. I mean, it's not, and you know the best part, the doctor was amazing. Like I've never met a doctor who sits down with you for half an hour before the surgery and asks you about what you do. So he asked me obviously what I do, and I'm a chef. Okay. So he was like, "Okay, so you're a chef, then I'll have to do it a bit differently because your hands are very important to you. So I'll have to find another way to fix it so it doesn't affect your mobility in the long run. but it might be slightly bigger scar than I would usually do. So he said something like, I have to make a bigger scar so I can go in from the bottom and I can fix it correctly, but I'll have a full mobility of my wrist, which I do right after 5 months. So, which is,
Did you tell him we're no stranger to scars?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he was amazing, like, to be
That's
honest.
really
Yeah.
awesome. That's
On
Yeah.
awesome.
on
That
that subject
compassionate.
of scars,
Yeah.
Doug, did you ever watch MTV Scarred? The show MTV Scarred?
No, I watched very few MTV shows in my day.
Oh my god. Well, that's a different discussion for a different podcast. But there was like this TV show that, skater kids and biker kids would get like broken bones, and you were showing that, like, I mean, it's a pretty big scar. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not little, it's not a tiny
It's just
little
a
boo boo.
montage of broken people's bones.
Yeah, pretty much, with like the
Oh,
x-rays and all that. And he was
That's
showing
definitely an
that.
MTV show, Vlad.
yeah.
So,
That's definitely
ouch.
an MTV show.
It always hurts kind of inside when you look at a scar from, whatever that happened. But I'm happy that they fixed everything up, and you
So
got
what
your
did
full
your
mobility.
recovery look like, Chef?
I mean, I was away from work for a month and a half, about 2 months
Okay.
straight. But with the physiotherapy and stuff like that, I got back on track pretty quickly. And I had to strengthen myself because I had to carry stuff at work, and I was feeling guilty about asking everyone, "Hey, do you mind carrying me that big pot and putting it on the stove?" So yeah, so I had to start to do a bit of strength training, going to the gym, and now I even forget that I've actually broken my hand, so I can actually lift heavy stuff already. So it's not that bad.
Wow,
So
that is an
yeah,
awesome
six
turnaround.
months, 6 months down the road, because the doctor said at least a year and a half. Well, I'm glad the recovery was faster than that. So, well, coming to the topic, so I'm back on my scooter, regardless of my mom and my wife telling me not to go on it. And I just try to tell them why it is safer than contracting COVID on the bus than to ride a scooter in the icy condition that it is right now.
That is definitely a hard argument. Do
Hey,
you
it gets
face
cold on your face when you are
Oh man,
riding the scooter. I
it's
mean,
like fucking knives, man.
if you have the extended battery on that thing, you're flying at like 15 to 16 miles an hour, and it gets cold. Hands,
Yeah,
everything. It gets like under the hood, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
oh,
you either
Yeah, and
have
imagine
to
-11.
but it's
uh,
great.
I
It's
couldn't
because you
imagine minus
recharge it.
11.
You recharge it, and you're not wasting, that public
Yeah,
gas that would have been
yeah.
wasted technically. It is, though, not the best, suspension system, and you
It's
know
not the safest.
yeah, at least like wrist
Yeah,
pads or like a
I would probably get
potholes
helmet.
a
no
helmet
more.
at least.
Yeah,
Helmet's a good idea, Chef.
because dude,
Yeah.
people in Chicago don't ride without a helmet because
Okay.
there's crazy people driving around. You never
How are
know,
the how are the drivers in Sweden? How's the
Really, really good.
test?
Really
Yeah,
good, man. Yeah. Even if you're wrong, they will still say sorry. So yeah.
I like it.
I mean, they would
Alcohol
stop even
regulations
before
and
you
polite
approach to
people.
the yeah. They would stop even before you approach the zebra crossing. So yeah,
Goodness,
it's really good.
that's awesome. Very
Yeah.
courteous. So, how has everything been as far as guest counts, and do you see more people kind of staying in now and not really experiencing our food and
Mm.
beverage industry, or how's that going?
Well, it was like that about a month ago, but thankfully now we've started picking up,
Good.
which is very good. I think people are just sick of being at home after a while, and because we have taken precautions of COVID regulations, and we have put out videos from our restaurants saying that we have, distance our table, we all have hand sanitizers, we all wear masks while serving. So all these things has made people more confident in our business, and it's an established business for over 18 years, so people trust us in that way. So they have started returning back. We have got a really, really touch wood, a very good response for Valentine's. So usually we would be full on just a Valentine's Day, but now because it's on a Sunday, well, here, um, we have also had a full booking on a Saturday. So it's a Saturday and a Sunday, which you would only have once a week a full booking. So which is very good now. So really happy about that. And obviously the regulations about 8:30 p.m. That's not going to change anytime soon, unless the count drops. But whatever we can do with the time that we have during the day, now we have started opening up for lunch as well. So we don't usually do that, but that has also helped quite a bit to get some guests in. So it's pretty good at the moment.
Right.
Beautiful.
And
What's
well, no, all right, Doug. Kind of going on that subject, I think Valentine's, has been everybody's big push. Like all the restaurants that I've seen been closed or only doing to go and not opening, and in Chicago especially. I know it's a little bit different in Doug's state where everything's been open and they're letting people do whatever. But here in Chicago, Valentine's has been like the key date. Like everybody's booming, like getting ready to boom on Valentine's, and that looks like that's going to be, a very important date to see. Are we going to be able to keep that up week to week and start gaining back, and then easing those regulations, and then it seems to be we're finally at that pivotal moment where
Yeah,
everybody's like re-energizing and like getting their batteries charged, and all these ideas are starting to
absolutely.
come out, and they're finally like, we don't have to pack our beautiful food in to-go containers and bring
Yeah,
it to you cold or semi-warm
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
the way it's supposed to be composed. And I think that's, it's been very energetic and inspiring to see that, big wave to Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
um,
and to finally feel the adrenaline of actually doing a service in a restaurant, you
where
know?
it gets busy and you get a little
Yeah,
bit in the
exactly.
weeds, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it takes time to build that momentum back up.
Oh, it will definitely. There'll be a lot of, cold, muscles that you gotta, get them in use again. But I'm pretty sure like everyone will get back because this is one opportunity to get back on. And after this is Easter, so hopefully, let's hope the Easter works out too pretty well. Yeah,
After that is Easter, yeah.
yeah,
And
so
then we're getting back into the warmer months, so you know.
yeah.
what's Valentine's Day look, chef? Can you give us a little sneak peek of some of the, dessert something you might have coming?
Oh yeah, actually, I have. Well, I can show it to you on my phone. I can't send it to you right now, but I just actually made it today. Actually, got
Okay.
it finalized today. So obviously, I wanted to do with something very feminine. I wanted to do a bit of a feminine dessert. So I went with lychee, rose, sake, and mirin. So those are the
Lychee,
combinations.
rose, sake, and mirin. Wow.
Yeah,
Those
and
sound
I
very refreshing.
They do. It sounds
it's
like a day at the
I
spa.
don't know where is it, but
Yeah,
Okay.
just describe it to us. What do you got there, chef?
okay, so right at the bottom, I've got the jam of lychee and kaffir lime. On top of that, I've got the shortbread made with fennel. And on that, I've got a lychee and lime sorbet, and another fennel shortbread. And on top of that, rose and hibiscus gelato. And top on top of that is like a sponge that I made with lychee. So it's like a really weird texture in the mouth that's been coated with white chocolate. And then the sheets of glass that you see is like ice sheets basically made of isomalt and candied rose. Yeah.
And is that a maltodextrin powder that you got there,
Oh yeah,
or
that's correct. Yeah, yeah. It's a white chocolate maltodextrin. Yeah.
white
And
chocolate?
yeah, and underneath I've got a granita of sake and mirin. So yeah,
So sake, mirin, granita. You got the white chocolate malt powder. I love the
yeah,
idea of the fennel shortbread with the lychee.
yeah,
That
Levels to this shit, Doug.
sounds
yeah.
delicious. I
Yeah,
mean, all
thank you.
those flavors: lychee,
I have
sake,
I have
mirin.
so many
Wow.
recipe
Yeah,
questions. First of
yeah,
all, I can't whip a meringue for
yeah.
life. I got a KitchenAid and I still can't whip a meringue. I
What's your go-to meringue, chef? Italian, Swiss, French?
I think my favorite is none of the above. There is one that I actually do, which I learned when I was in Bali for a bit. It's called the Balinese meringue. So it is basically using raw, unrefined sugar, which is slightly wet. So it's not a dry, but it's a bit more difficult to work with. And my go-to is to use albumina by Sosa or Texturas because it's very consistent. It has the right amount of egg whites protein. Because what happens when you buy the packet egg whites, they might or might not have the protein to water content that it should on an egg white. They might dilute it down to kind of stretch it out a little bit, and also the egg whites that you have in your fridge depends on how long they've been set in the fridge. Because if the longer they sit, the looser they get, the protein strength gets looser, and it's a bit more difficult to get the meringue up and running. But also on the contrast, it's still all the egg whites are better for macarons because they hold the almond meal a lot better within their structure. But I go to albumina, and the best thing about that, you can actually flavor it with whatever liquid you want. So if I
So you
thought I
can
want to
make a
make
savory meringue. You can make
exactly,
a,
yeah,
a, a beef marrow meringue.
yeah, I've done it with dashi before. So egg white, dashi, and then finish it with a brown muscovado sugar, so that's more savory-ish, kind of. So yeah.
Now, do you
Wow.
use barley malt a lot?
No, I don't actually. No, no, no. But
That
I do
has
use
been
barley
like,
a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about the barley malt.
No, that's been something people add. It's like a better flavor than molasses, I'm guessing.
I'm still yet to actually check
So
that out.
I know that the pastry chef that I was working with uh, was like, couldn't buy enough from it on Amazon. Like it was always out of stock because
Really?
that was like the new, additive in, you know. So I was
Oh,
just
let me check
curious.
that out then. Oh, I'm curious
And
now.
I'm curious about the albumin powder because I don't want to use fresh egg whites. I mean, I'd rather use
Yeah, because
like,
it's
you know what
very,
I
very
mean? It's like
consistent.
I want to make there's like this, French dessert where it's like the meringue and you bake it and you got the cream and it's just like a sandwich, like a
Ah,
meringue sandwich, whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's delicious. And I think we made it in culinary school and
Right,
just
right.
not never been able to make like a
Are you talking about the floating island?
maybe it's the floating island. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Um, but it's two baked meringue discs with a buttercream in the middle.
I
Aha.
want to say a profiterole, but I don't.
You
I
might be right
just
there. You
yeah,
might be right there,
I
Doug.
literally just read
Mm,
about
mm, mm,
French pastries in
But
David
profiterole
Chang's
is
book,
is
but
uh, pâte à choux,
no, it's not that then.
so it's like two meringue. It's a French.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? And you cut
I
it
can see
like a
it, but
mm,
pie.
mm.
I
You cut it
literally
like a.
just read
It's
about
like
it
a.
and I
It's like
can't think.
a whoopie pie, but with meringues.
Whoopie pie.
Have you
Yeah.
had a whoopie pie?
Yeah, I had a whoopie pie.
They're delicious. Or moon cakes,
Yeah, and also zebra cake,
zebra cakes.
There you
deep
go.
fried.
I saw somebody recreate the zebra cakes, but the tree version, the
Mm-hmm.
Christmas tree edition, and they looked amazing. And they were, selling them, and I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
That's
man.
cool. Way to play on the nostalgia.
It's definitely
Yeah,
nostalgia, yeah.
it is, man. I still remember my first instant with zebra cake. I was working in this restaurant in New Orleans, born, and this guy comes and says, "Hey man, have you ever tried a zebra cake?" I'm like, "No, I have not." "Oh man, it's about time that you should now." I said, "All right, how do you give it to me?" So he got the zebra cake, opened the pack, showed it to me. So I was about to take it. No, 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 not like that. He put it in a batter and deep fried it and gave it to me. And now that's how you have it.
He went all the way.
He went all the way.
That's kind of like the
Beautiful.
best way to try a zebra cake, I think, at that point.
Yeah, it was so moist and warm, and oh, it's good, man.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's like 200% sugar icing
yeah,
inside.
yeah. And then there's something called, oh, I'm not sure if it's okay to say it on here, but it's called the white trash salad. So
What is that? That sounds like it
Sounds
has
like
American
a
cheese and
Caesar.
ham on it.
yeah, so it's basically the way he explained it to me. It was my first time again. He was like, so you need to make sure that the salad is under the dressing. So what he was trying to say was that it's drowning in the dressing. There's not a single form of life left in the salad after you marinate it. So it's like a thick mayonnaise Tabasco, sriracha, cheddar cheese, jalapeno, and corn, and you mix it all together, and that's a salad dressing. Yeah,
Wow.
That's probably a limited
It definitely
edition
does
New
sound like a white
Orleans.
trash salad.
yeah, yeah.
Is there
Uh,
crispy
oh, there's croutons. Yeah.
imitation bacon?
No, there was crouton though. I still remember croutons. Yeah.
Croutons. There
Gotta
you
have
go.
the
So you're
croutons.
basically eating the salad with a spoon because of the amount of dressing on
Oh
it.
my
Because
goodness.
you specifically say that you should not be able to see the salad above the dressing. I'm like, okay.
They
And
took the they took
definitely iceberg lettuce on this salad.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
the soup dash salad too literally, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It was fun, man. I mean, it's really interesting to see like people's take on different things and like in a comical way as well. It's yeah, nothing
Yeah,
too serious.
one of the things I always would do like late night, if we just got crushed for service and it's like midnight and we're just getting off the line, like just cleaning down. There's this place and there's one in Tampa and one in Orlando. It's called Pom Poms. It's actually St. Pete, but St. Pete, Tampa. Some people aren't aware where St. Pete is, but they have this peanut butter sandwich, and it's cayenne peanut butter, strawberry jam, bacon, and bananas,
Oh, I can imagine
and
that.
it is delicious. It's called the Spicy Elvis at Pom Poms, and
I was gonna say, does it have to do anything with Elvis? Because
it does.
peanut
And
butter and banana, right? That's
peanut butter, banana, bacon, I believe, is Elvis classic. But
Wow.
yeah, so you make one of those, everybody's great morale, everybody's feeling great. We got just enough energy to clean down the line. And so it's
Wow.
always a variation of that. I've put pistachios in some,
Hmm.
black pepper, dates, arugula, whatever have you. But like you said, showing a little bit of something from me to everybody else, just like with those zebra cakes.
Oh, that's so cool, man. And I actually really miss American diners, man. I miss that concept. I miss that. I don't know, but there was this place that we always went after service, and it was the same waitress serving us every night. It almost became like a family kind of a thing that you went to your mama's house to eat. You know, she was like in her 60s, 70s, and she knew exactly what you wanted. She would come to you, you look like you're gonna have a double cheeseburger today. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to have. Yeah, you look tired. You look tired, baby. I'm like, okay, and there you go. And it was so nice, to just have that warmth, and you don't get that here. It's I would say it's a lot more like it's polite, but at the same time it's sterile.
Right,
Yeah, and
right.
yeah.
Well, so yeah, the atmosphere of a true American diner is definitely something that can't just be created. It's like it has to like age into the
yes.
Yeah,
atmosphere
yeah,
almost.
yeah. It's a
So
fine bottle
like
of
going
wine.
on that, here in Chicago we have a shop called Belmont Snack Shop.
Mm.
It's right next to the what are they called? CTA. Right next to our shuttle system. And I had the same story right after a shift. We headed over there with a couple of guys, and they showed me this place, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. Diner's full, and you're sitting, like bar style, and you're watching this guy cook your, cheeseburger, and he asks like what do you want it at, and you go medium plus. You don't go anything less than that at a diner. And you watch him smack the patty, take the paper, toss it in the trash, sit there, make your patty, and it's such nostalgia after you've had like one of those encounters where it's like it's the right amount of greasy. This guy knows
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Mm-mm.
There's no fancy schmancy pantsy, like get your shit, pay, leave a good tip, have a good day.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Like a nice, yeah. It's like being served like after you have served like 100 guests at night. That feeling is so good, man. Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, and yeah, it is something to remember because I remember most of my dinners at the diner. Like there's something that happened that just makes me remember that day, or that particular service that led to that experience at the diner, and to a point that I used to enjoy it so much that on my days off, I used to live on St. Charles and Third, which is like quite near the hood in New Orleans. So I mean, but me being brown didn't really matter. So anyway, there was a diner right down the road, and I would go wake up at like 2 in the morning, walk up to the diner, sit down there, order a burger, and just do my sketchings there because I just enjoyed the atmosphere. It was just better than sitting at home than sitting at a diner.
So was
Yeah.
that the go-to at the diner or burger?
No, that was another one that I went on my days off because it's near my home. But the one that I went, I forgot the name now, but that was after my work. Like every day, me and my colleagues would go there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
what was the go-to meal? Like what was the
Oh, the
Chef
go-to,
Amar standard?
always a double patty cheeseburger, man.
There you go.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't think I had anything else but that, man. Or maybe a Spanish omelet once in a while here and there. But
There
yeah,
you
it's
go.
always a
Now,
nice
on the
cheeseburger.
subject of, grub food, and I know one thing that, we can all relate to is kitchen snacks, right?
Yeah,
And I know we've all had the best kitchen snack. Like there's a buildup out there that maybe is worth looking at to composing a dish out of even. And I think a lot of cool creative dishes did come out of kitchen snacks and taking, three different stations mise en place and
yeah,
combining it together into like, a tasting spoon worth of something to get you through that push,
true
at the
that.
last seating. So with that being a new thing that I kind of want to start, I think my best kitchen bite was at Royster. We would have the fried chicken that didn't have enough crumbs on it, that wasn't like super fancy looking, like Instagram worthy. We would toss in a bowl right next to the good ones that lay on a tray, and they like, these ones are like, oh, and these
Yeah,
ones are like, hey, you got some kitchen, you got some kitchen, you got some chicken scraps. So you would take that, and then you would have fry bread, and then at the end of the night, usually you make like 30 or 40 portions of fry bread, and you always have some backup, but you go through like 30, and you always have a little bit left. So you make this fry bread, and then you take from the Shido composition, which we had a togarashi aioli. So you take the togarashi aioli into this fried bread that's usually served with cheddar rillettes, but that's besides the point. And you take that, and you squeeze the togarashi, you put the fried chicken, and then you take pickles from brunch, which the brunch guys hate, and you make this little sandwich. And that was like the
yeah, I
best
can imagine that.
ending of a night. It's like this warm pita with togarashi pickles chicken sandwich. Super flavorful, super MSG, sodium, salty
Yeah,
on
yeah.
all maximum levels. But that would get me through the night. So, what would be your ultimate kitchen snack, and what restaurant was it at?
Oh, interesting.
I'm hitting you on the spot right now.
Yeah, it is actually. Let me give you a thing. Okay, I think yeah. So my first ever job in the kitchen, 2010, Chili's restaurant, the American one. So that was a restaurant that I actually joined to see if I'm actually cut out to be in the business or not. So that was the first restaurant. I was the pioneer team of that particular Chili's in Universal Studios Singapore. And I remember taking. We used to have this bacon bite burgers, so it was basically like six small buns joined together with one patty inside that you'd cut up into six with bacon bits and stuff like that. I loved the bread; it was so nice and soft. So it was again actually chicken as well. It was fried buffalo wings, but the mid wings. So what I would do, when you bite one end of the wing, you can actually take the whole bone out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can just keep the mid wing like as is. So we had that, and so I would toss them in the wing sauce, put them in the bread, and we had this oyster emulsion that we used to use for. the fries that we used to make like this nori Japanese fries that used to go with this oyster emulsion. Is basically just oysters, mayonnaise, and rice vinegar. So
And
that
raw
emulsion,
oysters or smoked oysters?
no, just normal oysters. It was just normal oysters. So it's like very seafoody, and that oyster emulsion on the wings in the bread. Yeah, man, I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, oysters, chicken, buffalo sauce. That sounds like it
yeah,
would be really tasty.
yeah. And that soft bun, man, the best buns ever, man. Honestly, another question I had: don't you guys think that burgers have become a bit overhyped and a bit too expensive for what they used to be?
Well, actually, on that subject, and Doug, I'll let you go first, but I have some big things on burgers and
On
industry.
burgers, you got
On
some
burgers
new
and industry.
burger stuff in the works, Vlad?
Yeah, so no, not me on in the works, but I was listening to this great podcast which I suggest for everybody to listen to. It's Mike Muser's podcast. He's the owner of Ever in Chicago. And he was the GM and partner at Grace. So huge accolades, you know, 3 Michelin star background. And he has a podcast where he talks to, you know, Chicago locals and, you know, Chicago people. And they were talking to Phil Vitale. And Phil Vitale was 41 year food critic for the Chicago Tribune. So pretty much any restaurant that got the like you're gonna make it type of seal of approval was, you know, his seal of approval. Like this is a good spot to go to. And he was saying like in general, I think restaurants, and I kind of have to categorize it, I think, without him putting words in his mouth, but categorizing like fast food out of the question, but casual to fine dining establishments, you know, need to charge, you know, $17 for a burger was like the context that he brought up in order to survive, because we can't take another hit like we just took. There is no, you know, we need that profit margin to be there to withstand anything that comes along the way. And that's the only way to do it, by charging, you know, what we're supposed to be charging. You know, the meat that we charge for a $13 burger won't compare or come close anywhere to, you know, to a $8 or $9 burger at McDonald's. So,
Yeah. Of course, you're not comparing the chains, that's for sure.
and that's
Yeah.
the hard play that you right
Right.
now with COVID situation and the to go
Yeah.
situation. You are if you're a, you know, a Mexican restaurant, you are competing with Chipotle, whether you like it or not, and that's the hard truth in the game right
Right.
now.
Right. Because it's more of quantity at this time for the value of money than quality, because of people not having jobs and are not able to
It's
spend as much.
right, and is the perspective right? Like,
Right. I
you know,
understand.
you can't have a $20 burrito with really good beef and beans that were cooked, and
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta have
everything.
horse meat from Taco Bell.
Exactly, mysterious meat.
Seriously.
Soon, I think all fast food chains will be. I think meat prices will rise.
Yeah.
I think food chains will go to plant based with beef flavorings.
Oh, it's already started here, mate.
So
Yeah.
and
Well,
it
Taco Bell just announced March. That's what they're doing. So I'm excited to see
With-
what they do with Beyond Meats. And
Plant-based.
obviously, Burger King has had some success with Impossible brand. I know they're
Yeah.
definitely enjoying that. I was happy to
White
see
Castle.
Impossible. Yeah.
White Castle really going plant-based?
yo,
Oh,
did
man.
you know White Castle is all privately owned?
Oh, is it?
Interesting.
They're
I think-
very successful for a privately owned.
Yeah.
They're like hyper local. You know, they look at like who lives in this area, and like they put a location where they know exactly people who are like, I fucking love White Castle. They put it like right there. And they've been
Yeah.
growing like slow and steady over the years.
Right.
But they were the original hamburger.
Yeah, man.
White Castle hamburger.
Yeah, man.
Original.
Yeah, I still remember a friend of mine and I did a Harold and Kumar to get to the White Castle to a restaurant in Alabama. We drove overnight just to get there.
Wow.
Yeah, we just made up our mind. You know what? Let's just do it. Yeah,
That's
we
a
did.
trip.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. My first ever.
What
Did
was your
you?
order when you finally got there?
I think it was also I'm a big fan of double patties, man.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it was a double patty again, and it was I think 6 burgers that we got. But
I
obviously we
like
didn't
it.
eat it there, but then we just had it back for the whole road trip back. So yeah, it was really good.
It's been a while since I've had some White Castle burgers, but I think minimum of six.
The
Yeah,
texture. That's the only issue I have.
and a perfect size, man. For me, it's the perfect size.
Yeah.
Like I'm not about the texture, but
The texture, it does take some getting used to, but
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
some mustard or something,
I also dislike the texture of like breakfast sausage. And I
Oh, it's
think
similar, like a bite to it, you know?
it's like that swirly ground meat
Yeah,
texture. It's just
yeah.
either way. I mean, there's a time and a place for it. I've definitely hit the White Castle, in my
they're not going
neighborhood.
to be putting a White Castle up anywhere near you, huh, Vlad?
Definitely, I'm not a buy a 30 guy
No?
crave box.
Okay.
But imagine what a movie can do for a restaurant and a restaurant
Absolutely.
chain, and then that ties back to our early conversation, is like the more we network, the more we connect, the more we put ourselves out there for comments and public's view, the
Scrutiny
better
sometimes.
the better we get, and
Yeah.
the stronger we get, and the character builds, and we all are in this, with our heart and passion, but we also take it, a very professionally, and it really
Mm,
shows, with the
right,
results. And
right.
some of your desserts just blow me out of the park, and I'm just like, damn. And when I see a dessert that I'm like, damn, I try to tag you to be like, yo, bro, check this guy out. He's in your lane. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Thank you for
check.
doing that, man, because it kind of keeps my eye open and,
There's a lot. I mean, the
yeah,
content is huge on like,
huge, man.
and it's
Yeah,
it could be the same, even 5 flavors or 3 flavors, but
yeah,
oh my god, did chefs nowadays figure out a way to transform things
yeah, yeah,
into
yeah, yeah, yeah. And my motto has always been the motto of flavor before presentation. That's always been me. I never ever think about presentation when I think of my desserts. That's the last thing. That is something that I would do like 5 seconds before it goes to the guest, because I know that it might look ugly, but man, when you taste it, you're gonna forget how it looked like, and that's the most important thing. Because there are desserts that are really really beautifully plated, and I used to be like that, like a perfect canal of this, a piece of that, a perfect Bruno of something, and this and that. But then I kind of got away from it because I just felt it was so monotonous, and everybody just started doing that all the time, and the flavors were not that spectacular. It would be just passion fruit and mango, but it's just really beautifully plated. But I think now people are so globalized in a way, or so experienced eaters, that you have to give them a bit more than just that. You have to give them a trip of flavors on the tongue. I think that's the most important thing for me. Yeah,
I like that thought about thinking about the flavors first,
yeah,
because you have, all these different techniques like Vlad was talking about,
yeah,
where you
yeah,
could have a Brunoise of peach, but, maybe a nice medium sort of rustic dice just
yeah,
tastes better. It gives you more of that flavor,
exactly.
instead of a bunch of small pieces. And,
Yeah,
like you said, at the end of the day, what do I want out of that peach? Do I want it to look really cool, or do I really want that flavor to sort of come through?
exactly. Like a perfect example for me is the sucker chash. Like it has to be as rustic as possible,
Right.
because there are some chefs who try to do a very dainty way of putting succotash, and for me succotash is a base. It has to be heavy, it needs to be substantial. It is not it's not a compliment to something. So you put a teaspoon of it on a plate, for me it doesn't make sense. So it's just things like that. It's just the integrity of a certain ingredient that is meant to be there, because it has the capability of carrying out the whole dish, and that is something that everyone should think about, and not just the presentation. Because you can get better at presentation once you have figured out the flavors, So yeah.
So right around there, I have a great story to kind of segue before we start wrapping this 30-minute hour conversation up. Um, but going on that, it needs to make sense. I was talking to this lady that went to a Michelin restaurant and ordered soup, and she's like, there was like 2 tablespoons worth of soup, and she, went to the waiter and was like, can I get more soup? And he's like, well, there's many more courses coming and stuff like that. She's like, yeah, but it was like I needed to feel like I ate soup, like there was not enough soup. And as ironic it may be to like me and Doug, who would have maybe had this experience, would have been like, hey, that's some great soup, let's move on to the next course, what do they got for us, right? But somebody who is so used to like soup, salad, entree, dessert,
Mm.
it fucks with them. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
they're not really, it's we there's almost, you need to have that understanding and that do that research. And I think when you do go to a 3 Michelin star restaurant and you're about to spend $300 on dinner and then $200 on wine pairing, you're gonna do some research and you're gonna know where you're going and
Right,
why you need to make a 6 months or a month in advance reservation.
right, right, right.
So
But
it
also,
needs,
also, yeah,
it needs to make sense, and I think that's a great point that you make. Is that sometimes as chefs we forget, but also like it needs to make logical sense to the people that are dining in your dining room, not the people that are just cooking the food.
exactly. And I don't know what is yours and Doug's take on minimalism, because now it's like a new thing that's going on. Well, not a new thing, but it's been a little too much, I feel, in terms of fine dining, and especially some chefs getting away with literally, I don't know, serving a piece of potato with a chorizo aioli on it. Yes, it could be a perfectly cooked piece of chip.
Well, that's like Alan Arpiage. You know
Yeah,
who I'm
yeah,
talking about?
yeah, yeah, I know, I know.
It's not Alan Ducasse, but it's
And then
Alan Passard.
Passard, yeah, probably, yeah.
I
Well,
think that's his
I'm
name.
not, yeah, I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm just
No,
saying
no, and
like,
I'm not pointing
yeah,
fingers. I think
yeah,
he
yeah,
does. He does what you're describing amazing, like
yeah,
fluently, where
yeah, yeah.
he takes vegetables from the garden and just cooks it perfectly, and
Mm,
that's what you're having. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you are right. There is that notion of, are you removing too much at this point?
Right, exactly. Or like a piece of asparagus, yes, perfectly cooked, dipped in a sauce grabiche, which is a egg emulsion with olives and capers and stuff like that, or something like that. So it is simple to this point, and it is something that a layman can probably do at home, once given a recipe or just did a bit of research on the YouTube or whatsoever. So it's just,
But
it's
then
just,
at the same level
yeah,
is incubating an asparagus and letting it uh, formulate a fungus on it and serving that with the sauce.
that's a different thing. Obviously, yes, yes,
Is
of
that
course.
too far on the spectrum of like, okay, we're eating moldy food now? Like,
Which was the whole menu of Noma like a few
right.
seasons
So
ago. Yeah, yeah,
there,
yeah.
it's like, who is right? It almost needs to be, where's your restaurant located? And I think each restaurant really relies on its return customers, or like
Right.
its daily customers.
Yeah, I think it's up to the guests to
And
decide if
and
they're
and
okay with
right,
eating that.
so like
Absolutely.
it almost like comes around, that's like the first thing that makes that restaurant survive.
Mm,
And then
mm,
it's like the is it a touristy area? Is it a local area? Are
right.
people driving in? Or and then what they're spending is almost what it
Yeah,
entails.
absolutely. And also justifying the price for what you have charged for that, food. That's another thing as well, because you could be a 2 or a 3 star, but if you're trying to just get by with serving cheap products on the name of the restaurant, and your plating skills or your ceramics, because it does make a difference. A piece of steak probably put on a $500 piece of steak on a $500 plate would definitely look different than on your home plate, you know. So it's that aesthetic view as well. And sometimes people take it too far as to just make it look aesthetically good, no matter what the product is, and to try to sell it for a higher profit margin. And that is something that again comes out to the integrity of the business and how they want to show and run. But because I have experienced dinners like that at two-star places, and it was disappointing. I was like, wow, you know, like,
And would you say that goes back to connections and knowing, who, what, where, and why? I was watching this
mm,
British cooking show, and like this woman was like, I was cooking good food, and I rang up Michelin, and I was like, why don't I have a Michelin star yet? And they're like, you got to do this and this to get it. And
yeah, I
she
mean,
did
yeah,
that, and
criteria
then
is,
next year she got it. And you
yeah,
would never hear a story like that in the
yeah,
States, because you're not calling the guy in France and having a conversation with him if you're an American, most likely.
right, right,
Or
right.
anybody who are like, me or Doug, or don't have those connections to that
Yeah.
demographic, unless Doug knows somebody in the Michelin game that I didn't know about. But
No, man,
Not
no,
yet.
that is like the elite of the elites, man. Well, nah, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I know anybody, or
hey,
I'm
but
not even
if you get
close
it,
to
they
one.
ring you up and they know everything about you. They've
Exactly.
been at
Yeah.
your place multiple times.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
And
mean, the same with.
that's starting to come out of the shadows.
Mm,
Michelin like awards or something like that is, popping up in my DMs. I'm not too sure. I didn't really look into it. I'm kind of,
right.
I just scroll up, do my thing. But, things are starting to move again, and it feels like everything's headed in the right direction. And,
Right.
besides you doing a cartwheel and breaking your arm, I hope everything's been, moving
Oh,
and trending upwards as well with you.
yeah. It has been. It has been. Yeah. I've got a few more collabs coming up, and yeah, and just looking forward to those things because it's again in the community itself, and it's with the people that I would like to work in future with. You know. So with the produce and supplies and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going great, and it's something again. I know we've not touched it yet, but also the mental health issue. You know, so it's just something to keep you going because you need a goal in this time. You need a target to put yourself on. You need to paint something on so you can just move towards that point because it's very easy to just sit on the couch and watch TV and just completely drift away from what you want to do, from the reality of everything. But then it's also difficult to,
That's me.
I mean, that's me too, man. Like I'm having 4 days a week off now, you know, so it's insane for me sometimes to just have so many days off and not having that being productive. So you have to look for something new that I started doing. I mean, I'm still not on it yet, but I wake up at 4 every morning. I go for a nice 2 hours run or a jog or whatever I feel like doing. Come back, have breakfast with my wife, and then do some planning ahead of what I want to do for the rest of the week. And that actually keeps me motivated and keeps me mentally, I would say, sane in these times, you know.
It's hard to find those things. A couple weeks ago now, I was at Walgreens and I saw those like old Play-Doh sets. And it's just like I've been out of the game for a couple of weeks now, and like you said, you're just sitting, and waiting for that next thing. And
Yeah,
if you don't go out there and get it, or you don't put those goals, or you don't find those little things like the Play-Doh for me, or writing a schedule for like yourself, some sort of physical activity to keep your brain going,
yeah,
it's definitely hard to keep that mental health in check.
yeah. What do you do with the Play-Doh?
I built a tree. So
Oh
yeah, it
man.
was like a tree, and then all the leaves were different colors.
Oh man, I
So
missed that, man.
yeah, it kept me busy for about an hour.
Is that the set where you put through the printing stuff and it prints out leaves and stuff?
No, no, not that fancy. It was all just done
Okay.
with these hands. Yeah, but
Oh, that's nice.
I'll have to see what the next mental health sculpture will be.
Yeah.
Got you,
That's the
Doug.
thing. Yeah. You find out so many things about yourself that you never knew because you're so busy with your
Yeah,
life.
I've
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced that too. You sort of sit and like, oh wait, I actually enjoy doing this. Oh wait, I actually enjoy doing that.
Yeah,
When there's not that 70 to 80 hours a week and you have to find what to do with that time, it can be challenging.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I started playing PUBG again.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Finding those things that sort of,
I've
help
been I've
you
been
cope
playing
with reality.
Fortnite. So if anybody wants to play with Fortnite, unfortunately my name isn't Truffle Boy on there. It's my real full legal name. I don't know
Really?
why, but it's Vlad Breinstev.
Yeah.
So add
Was
me as a
Truffle Boy
friend.
taken?
No, I was just so lazy. I've been so lazy and so unmotivated.
You gotta start waking up at 4, Vlad. We'll send you over Amar's schedule.
I do. It's just so freaking cold, dude. There's
Yeah,
a
man.
pile of snow over my window, and I
Wow.
wake up and look at that pile of snow, and there's nothing more than I just want to get back in my,
Yeah.
blankets and cuddle, and that's it.
Do you know I love snow and I've never really experienced much of it. So it was my first time this year. It actually snowed, well, not compared to you guys, but it was like this much. And I, like, me and my wife, like, oh, it's snowing, let's go. We were so excited. So we went down, like, oh, it was like every time it snows, we like just going down. So it's like quite exciting for us. So for me, snow is beautiful, man.
There you go.
It's,
So
it's,
it's
it's
negative 11, but you don't get any of the pros of snow. You just get all the
yeah,
cons of the cold weather.
exactly, and wet because I'm
Goodness.
right by the sea as well. So yeah,
Well, that's that with the alcohol regulation, chef. We're feeling for you here at Late Night with Chefs.
yeah. And now why the alcohol regulations is in check.
Right.
And they're
Yeah,
near sea. I
yeah,
don't want anybody jumping off board.
yeah.
Well,
No,
chef, is there anything else that you want our viewers to know about you, or where can they find you if they want to come check out some awesome desserts?
Oh, they can check out on my Instagram page, which is euphoric underscore Amar, and I'll be having a few more collaborations soon. So if you wanna keep in check, and something cool coming up pretty soon. So I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to that. And just another thing about the mental health issue, because I was actually kind of thinking about it, and how, like we talked about last time, that any job will do in these times. So put your ego aside and just go forward. And especially for the young guns, the young fresh graduates from culinary school, yeah, you might not get an internship right now at a Michelin star restaurant, but instead of sitting idle at home waiting for that opportunity, just get out there, work at a cafe. Maybe a cafe needs help, a hand. Maybe they have lost a few staff. Maybe they are just trying to pick up now. Maybe the takeaway scene is a bit more than anything else. So get your hands dirty, go down there, do something, but keep yourself occupied. Because if you get through this time, and also while working, I'm pretty sure once you step into the big kitchens, you will actually appreciate that value of being in that kitchen, and not take it for granted, because you know that what you had 6 months ago was was hard compared to what you have now. So like every opportunity is to be taken and not being kicked aside thinking that you'd get a next one, because right now if you don't take that, somebody else will, because everyone needs one. Yeah,
100%. And segueing off that, before we conclude, on our
yeah,
last podcast, we had Chef Jeremiah, and Doug had a wonderful question about this industry and grit. And my biggest advice to myself and to anybody listening is just get the grit. The grit will show at the end. And the
yeah,
results will always show.
yeah,
I've taken multiple step backs in my career, and had to put my ego aside. And if I have to do it now, that's what we do. We adapt, and we stay as a community, and this is what this is here for. And we just grow stronger, and we come back better than ever.
yeah. And the best thing about it is that you don't have to look far, because everyone beside you is on the same boat as you. So you don't need to feel ashamed. You don't need to feel that, oh, I'm in need right now and I don't want to show that I'm in need, because you know what, the next person next to you is in need as well. So that is completely out of the window of you wanting help, because everyone needs help in this time, whether or not they say it, they all need help. So
100%. And I
yeah.
appreciate you bringing this up and being such a strong advocate for it because sometimes when everything's all good on somebody's side, they forget to worry about the community.
Oh my God, sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, my wife just sneaked up and I fucking scared that shit out of
Just gonna give you a heart attack.
yeah, it's in the dark alleyway too, so I'm like, oh my God.
I freaked out.
Yeah.
Well,
My
Chef, I don't
God.
think we got an opportunity to ask you last time, but we've been sort of trying to figure out the unsolvable mystery. And so we have a question for you. If you'll do us the honors, Vlad.
So, Chef, we've all been curious to find out, and even Jeremiah Tower the Great himself didn't know where had this originated. But it just stumbled up onto his kitchen, and he was happy it did. And they resolved it, and they had Plan Bs and Plan As on nothing is getting 86th, and the guest is not knowing it. But why 86?
Oh, you mean what is the meaning of 86 or?
What is the meaning? Well, what is the meaning? What is the
What's the origin?
origins?
Yeah.
And
Oh, what's
where
the
did you
origin?
stumble upon it firstly in your career?
Firstly, at an American restaurant, Chili's, as I said, in Singapore, because I'd never heard about the term 86 ever in my life. So I was like, okay, so we are on 86 on the cheddar. I'm like, 86. So you've got 86 packs of those, or what's going on? And like, no, no,
Chef,
no, we're
I have nothing, and you're putting 86. What do you mean?
exactly. So no, we're 86. That means we're out. I'm like, okay. And obviously, I'm very curious. So I looked that up, and it came up to back in the day, there was the eighth key had the letter T on it, and the O. So basically, it's called throwing out or not having enough. So I think that's where it's been derived from 86, 8 and
Huh.
6, TO,
8 and 6 TO, throw
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
That is the most logical answer that we've so far had on the show. So we'll have to see how many other people truly do know the origin of
Yeah,
There
86.
had to be an evolution, just like when we went
yeah,
and
yeah.
became Homo sapiens. There had to be that
Mm. So I have
that
a feeling
that
I
From
have,
link
TO
right
to
there. That
86.
yeah, which guy was like, bro, To 86 that.
no, it was like you know how after the World War II, like most of the soldiers didn't have anything to do after they came back from the war, and the only place that they could get in was in the kitchens, because they started, especially in the Europe, in Europe. So I guess using that army mentality of those, well, whatever codes or whatever they had, and using those, like how we do Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, similar to
Right.
that. I think that's how probably 86 came about as well, like something to do with the codes.
Well,
Well,
till
I
we
like it.
know exactly, and I think we're getting there. We're definitely getting to when that. But I think you're right on point with that research where throw it out To, and then
mm,
that eventually turned into 86 and caught on, and then spread fire throughout the entire industry. And now it's engraved in us, and some people tatted on, um, but it's a huge thing that kind of connects all of us.
yeah,
And if your industry, you know what 86 is, and
yeah,
it's kind of been a fun journey to hear everybody's
yeah, and
from Brian Yahtzee being born in 1986, and
uh,
that's the reason being that it was 86. um, but yeah, we're definitely on this
Everyone's
fun
got their own
journey.
take.
yeah. We used to even say 85 when we were about to run out. So it was like, hey, we're about 85 on that. So yeah, we know it's we reaching 86. So
I
yeah,
like it. I like it.
Right.
Well, Chef, thank you so much for coming on the pod
thank you
tonight
guys.
and,
Yeah,
talking to us about what the last 5 months has done. You
right.
will forever be the first guest chef that we interviewed in Late Night with Chef history. So we
Yeah,
definitely appreciate you giving us, our first chance to sort of host a podcast and, see what we could do. back when
Right,
we
right,
had our 37, beginning followers, and
right,
we are
right.
very blessed to have grown to what we have today. And hopefully, many, many more chefs and many more people will be able to get
Absolutely.
something out of these shows and
Yeah.
learn a little tidbit here or there, whether it's what 86 means or how to check in mentally.
Yeah,
Right.
and
And
sorry, we were super excited and super nervous to have you on the first time. And second time around, we're really just excited to have you back. Not as much nervous and anxious. And I think
yeah,
that's also the evolution of this entire process and our
and growth.
friendship. So I thank
Exactly.
you for that.
Yeah, and I thank you guys because I can truly speak to you guys like friends, and it's like it's great. Like it was just me catching up with my buddies again, and that's how exactly it feels like. And
Awesome.
basically talk about everything and anything under the roof. And is glad to know that whatever you guys are doing and in your own personal lives, you guys are doing great at the moment. And I'm just happy to hear that. Really, it just feels makes me feel more content of like people around me are getting back in shape in a way or form. So it's pretty good.
The
100%.
connection will stay strong.
Yeah. And another question: how can I get one of those teas behind?
So these beautiful teas right here.
Yeah.
So if you go on our Instagram page and hit our link tree on their bio,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can see where all our content is, and
Right.
also I will have an Etsy page, and I'm not too sure on the shipping to Sweden, but most likely you'll be able to find one of these beautiful shirts and
Yeah.
support us as well.
Nice. I
Um,
want to get the hoodie actually. That's what I want to
yeah,
get.
we got a bunch of cool designs. I walk around Chicago with a pink beanie that says "Late Night with Chefs," and
Nice.
I got
Beanies, pins,
buttons,
stickers.
stickers, pads. But yeah, we rolled that out. It's obviously something we're gonna grow into. We're still building our traction, and I think we're focused on getting the true story, and the story's ever so changing. We're kind of getting out of this loop of you
Yeah.
know okay, what's your pivotal moment to how is that moment now affecting you, and where are you at right now? So it's been really nice to see
Same here.
that evolution, and we all grow, and every day we try to go out and you know learn something new and take on the day.
Right. 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 Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me again. It was a pleasure.
It's a
You are
pleasure on our
very
side as
welcome,
well.
Chef. Thank you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you guys and very excited. We have more shows tomorrow, and then we have more shows planned for the next couple of months. So stay tuned and be ready for a lot of really, really cool, interesting perspectives, just like the one we heard tonight.
As always, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. If you have any questions, make sure to hit it up below, hit whatever. You know what I'm saying. Have a good night. Stay safe. Do what you do. As always, Late Night with Chefs, Truffle Boy, and Doug. This episode, we had guest chef Amar. Have a wonderful night, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Stay safe. Wear those
Thank,
masks.
thank you guys.